Us now is former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani. Mr. Mayor, it's great to see you.
Good to see you.
So Mayor de Blasio reassuring the city and the country, going out of his way to say this is not connected, he doesn't believe, to international terror. Do you think that's premature?
Thank you. Sure. How would he know? I mean, when you don't know who did it, how they did it, why they did it, I can't, unless he has a lot more information than it appears he has, it seems to me premature to say it is or it is not connected to international terrorism. To say it's a terrorist act is perfectly accurate. I mean, this could be domestic terrorism. This could be some form of lunatic terrorism. But a bomb, almost by definition, when you explode a bomb in a crowded area, that's an act of terrorism.
Yes.
Now the question becomes, is it connected to anything? And it would seem to me you need a little bit more investigating before, or a lot more investigating before you come to that conclusion. To tell the people of the city that there's no specific threat beyond this to the city, that's a good thing to do. I think he did the right thing there because that calms people down. In other words, they're not receiving information that New York City's under attack. But given what happened, you have to pretend New York City's under attack. If you're law enforcement and you're the mayor,
right.
You have a bomb that went off, a device that may or may not be real, but you have to assume it is. Right nearby, you had another bomb that went off in New Jersey, and you had a terrorist act. Where was it? In Minnesota. In Minnesota. Well, and in that case, clearly Islamic terrorism, because the guy was yelling Allah Akbar, unless they're going to call it workplace violence, like they did with Major Hassan. So you did have yesterday an Islamic terrorist attack on the United States in Minnesota, and then you have these three incidents. Are they connected? I don't think anybody knows that right now. Do they constitute acts of terror? Absolutely.
Right. We had Donald Trump tweeting out or saying very shortly after that it was, in fact, a bomb. Got a lot of criticism for that.
Why? Why would he get criticism for that?
I think a lot of people say, you know, he's very quick to assume what happened.
Boy, that's a leader.
Other people are saying that's exactly what needs to happen.
He used the word bomb
right.
before we knew for sure, but then within a couple of hours, Hillary Clinton called it a bomb as
Did the same thing.
I don't know. I wasn't with him yesterday. I've been with him actually pretty much every day. It just happened to be that I took a day off yesterday. Maybe he had that information. I don't know.
He said he had been briefed, so.
Oh, yeah. Well, then he probably had that information. I mean, it didn't take a genius to figure out it was a bomb. I mean, I think I had to come to that conclusion the moment I walked out of City Hall and headed there. I like a leader that steps up right away. And if I were to compare the two sound bites of him and her, my goodness, I much prefer a leader who gets up and says, we were attacked, it's not going to happen, we're going to stop it, and we're going to be tough, and we're going to be a lot tougher, as opposed to, we have to see, we have to tell, we're not sure, we have to wait. Sounds an awful lot like...
You certainly have two different styles, but now it's all about the
man. I don't think it's not. I think one's a leader and one's not. But.
2008, we had that 3 a.m. phone call. It was an ad that Hillary Clinton ran against Barack Obama, saying he wasn't ready. How important should national security now be? I'm not just reacting to the last 24 hours. We had Orlando just a few short months ago.
You got to be ready at every moment. I was ready anytime I was mayor. You had my former police commissioner, Bernie Carrick, who I saw outside, reminding me of September 11, because we lived through September 11 together, almost died in the building we were in. He was very instrumental in helping us get out. You've got to be ready at every moment. I had all my clothes set right next to my bed from the evening of September 11 until the day I left office as mayor, just in case. Wow. Because I believe you lead from the front. I'm a sort of MacArthur Patton kind of leader, where you lead from the front. You're there, you tell the facts that you know, and you don't avoid things by trying to sound too euphemistic, because nobody will trust you when you try to sound too euphemistic.
That is true.
And to say it's Islamic terrorism is jumping too far. To say this was an act of terror is perfectly accurate. And to say that this is something that needs very close investigation, because, look, most good detectives, most good FBI agents, and most good assistant U.S. attorneys don't believe in coincidences. If you have a coincidence, that gives you a hypothesis. Now, it may prove there is no connection, but you got to start off with, it's awfully strange that you have these two things right near each other. Are they connected or not? I don't know the answer to that, but I'm sure they're working on that premise.
I want to ask you what happened in St. Cloud yesterday. So I grew up in a country where Minnesota was not known for terror, it was known for politeness. What changed is you had massive refugee resettlement from Somalia there. These are people who are vetted, but you're seeing second-generation Somalis implicated in terror plots or attacks. What does this tell us about our refugee policy?
Maybe this is the playing out of what Jim Comey told us about when we were all rather shocked that there were about 1,000 or more of these investigations of radical Islamic terrorism all throughout the United States. I know President Obama and Mrs. Clinton won't use those words, radical Islamic terrorism, because they're playing some kind of a game, which I think is dangerous, by the way. I think it has implications in, like, the people in San Bernardino not turning in the information that they had that might have prevented it because they feel like they're going to be seen as bigots. But what it tells us is that ISIS and related radical Islamic extremist groups have done a good job of penetrating. We know they've done a good job of penetrating Germany, France, and England, and they may have done a better job of penetrating the United States than we realize. I mean, we for sure had an act of Islamic terrorism yesterday. One for sure. The others, we don't know yet.
So now it's about the manhunt, figuring out who was behind what happened here in New York City.
Yeah, was it a madman? It reminds me of the first moments of September 11 when I was notified that a twin-engine plane hit the Twin Towers, and I rushed down to see Bernie Kerik and all of my... And going through my head was, well, it's one of two things. It's a madman or it's a terrorist. And then when the second plane hit, I knew it was a terrorist attack. But it didn't take me, you know, well, we'll see, and we'll try. Well, that isn't the way you fight against an enemy like this. You've got to be decisive, you've got to be strong, and you've got to be tough.
So what are they doing now to figure out who it was?
Well, they're doing everything. And as several people said, you've got the best police department in the world doing it. Nobody knows more about how to investigate terrorism, the NYPD, than the NYPD. And, you know, consider the size of it. The FBI is 14,000, the NYPD is 36,000. This is the largest law enforcement organization in the United States, and the one with the most expertise. And they've been training in this area for 20 years. When
you talk about the best police force, Detective Brian O'Donnell, he was off duty outside Penn Station.
Look at
that. And you can see 70 stitches on his face because there was a crazed man with a meat cleaver who went after a police officer. He was off duty. I know his brother, Johnny O'Donnell. He was off duty, and he was about to get on a train to go to a soccer game with his son. And he rushed up, tackled and punched this man with the cleaver. And as he fell to the ground, Detective Brian O'Donnell ran into the cleaver in his face. He broke his arm, 70 stitches. So we were talking about the bad guys, the terrorists, but the heart of this city right here, we've got a lot of good people. That's why we ultimately win this battle, because we are the good guys, and they are the bad guys. Whether this was a individual nut or somebody connected to a particular terrorist organization, these are the bad guys, and we got a lot more good guys than bad guys. It's
so nice to hear someone use the term nut. Because you would be a nut if you did something like this.
Well,
and thank you for saying
that. And that happens sometimes. You know, we had situations where, when I was mayor, somebody would walk into an office who had been fired by the boss of the company, and they killed the poor secretary behind the desk. So you have, this could be an absolutely crazy act, or it could be an act connected to what happened in Minnesota and other places, and you don't know yet.
Right.
But it is definitely an act of terror. There is no question about that.
Mayor Giuliani, we appreciate your insights this morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.